All right. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah. All right. So today we have some really, really cool, exciting things to talk about, and you're gonna love it. All right. But before we get started, if you haven't already, go and grab the M3 release on GitHub if you want to follow along with us. So I'm just gonna have this up for like 10 seconds while I kind of give you an introduction to what we're gonna talk about. So today we're gonna talk about something called advanced CSS. And what I mean by advanced CSS, I'm talking about like when you hover your mouse over something, cool things are going to happen. You can make boxes fly across the screen. Technically, you can also make games with CSS and no JavaScript, but that's a little beyond the scope of this little spiel. So if everyone has gotten this, who wants it? Does anyone need more time before we continue? Everyone's good? Okay, cool. All right, so let's show you what we got so far. So if you were here last week, you would have built this kick-ass resume portfolio thing, and it looks like this. So it's pretty cool, right? We have our images, we have our social media icons, we have our 2-column layout, we have images on the left, we click on it, it goes to the actual website, right? Pretty cool. And we have a footer. So this is pretty basic, but it definitely gets the job done. However, we live in, this is also really good for like a print resume, right? You can just Control P and you're done. But what if we wanted to add to this a little bit more? What if we wanted to spice it up so that people who view it on the web, like your employer, you tell your employer, you give them a business card, you say, this is my awesome resume website. So they go there, they're super impressed with you at the career fair, they go type it into their Google Chrome browser, or God forbid, their IE browser, and they go and they open up your website. We want to reward them with special content, right? Because they're special people. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to impress them, and they're going to get us hired. So let's go back to our presentation. Cool. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today is something called pseudoclasses. So pseudoclasses are these great little CSS features that let us do certain helper functions on the web. And what I mean by helper functions is like, you know how in Java you say like button on click and it does something, right? When you click on a button. You can do the same thing in CSS. So while CSS was never meant to replace logical components on the internet, it does let you take care of certain stateful interactions. So hovering over a button, right? You can make it do something cool without learning how to program anything. First thing, oh, by the way, I apologize in advance. I love cats. So I started putting cats everywhere. We'll see how that works out. Okay, so hover. Notice the weird colon thing at the beginning. This means we're defining a pseudo class. A pseudo class is something that you attach to a regular object in HTML. So for example, if you had your image, right, and it's class profile pic or something like that, you could add a hover to it, and that means whenever you hover over with your mouse, it's going to execute some code that you write, which is also CSS. And this will be a lot more clear when we kind of go through it. But I just want you to be aware of this hover pseudo class. The second one that we're going to talk about is the active pseudo class. The active pseudo class happens when you click on something or you select it. So you could select it with your keyboard even, or you could select it with your mouse. So that's when you like hold down the mouse button. You know, like you're about to click on the link in that email, but you're apprehensive because it might be spam, but you just don't know, right? And it turns red, right? Usually that link turns red. That's what active does, all right? So let's go and show you a demo of what these actually do. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a thing. And let's show you what this active class means. All right. Now is not a good time to fail. All right, JS Fiddle now. All right, JS Fiddle works. Can you guys all see that? We're going to add a simple element to our page. It's going to be a button, and the button's going to say click me, because that's what buttons do, and they want you to click on them, right? So let's refresh. We have a button that says click me. It doesn't do anything fun. Let's go ahead and add some CSS. So I select the button with CSS. I'm going to make the border 1 pixel, solid blue. When I run this, it's going to now have a blue border, right? Yay! It still does nothing. Let's use our newfound knowledge about pseudoclasses. Remember, to start a pseudoclass, you use the colon. And after the colon, you use the name of the pseudoclass. It's rocket science. Let's use the hover pseudoclass. So hover means I'm going to hover over it, right, with my mouse. So what do we want to do with this? Well, let's make we're going to be subtle, right? Oh, yeah. They can definitely click on that button. In fact, I don't think they have a choice. Let's be reasonable, people, and let's take that out. Cool. So you see how that border changes color there? That's really cool, right? So in like 2 seconds, we added a hover class to the button, and all of a sudden we have interactivity. It's really cool, right? We can, of course, change anything else anything that we can do in CSS, we can do in this hover state. So we can say color blue, text transform. We can do whatever we want, right? So let's run this again, right? The color turns blue, and we're good, right? We can also change the cursor. So we can say hand. Oh, that is the pointer, sorry. And you can see now it looks like a link, right? You guys see that? It's now a little like link button thing. So cool. So now our original button, which looked like this, and didn't do anything, right, can now look like this. Cool. All right. So now let's look at active, right? The second pseudoclass that we talked about today. Let's do active. So button, active. And what do we want to do? Let's make the opacity 0. So it's a vanishing button. It's gone. Cool, right? So note. We can also change, let's make it do something more reasonable, like text. I'm running out of ideas here. Let's be boring.
Oh, you may want to change it to active.
Oh, yeah, thank you. All right, cool, right? Now, do you notice that the text is not white? And that's because we have some default stylings in the browser, and it's being weird. So like, let's look at this. Like if we get rid of this, it'll be white. And the reason is because we're hovering over something. When you click on it, you're still hovered over it, right? So sometimes it gives you finicky issues like that, and you have to like rearrange it, and you have to push this below it. So just some things to keep in mind when you're working with CSS, because whatever comes last gets run last. So if you have some CSS that says it's going to be white, and then way at the very bottom of your code you turn it to red, the red is going to win, right? So things to keep in mind. So cool. So we talked about the hover, and we talked about the active CSS class, pseudoclasses. All right, back to the presentation. So there are another set of very fun pseudoclasses called first child and last child. And believe it or not, we actually sort of used these already in our resume. Remember how we had the two columns, right? One on the left and one on the right? Let's take a look at that real quick. So you see how we have the education section on the left and the skills on the right? We actually used first and last child to make this a little bit easier to code in the back. So we could say select the first child, and you guys will understand what this means in a moment, and it's going to select this entire section of content, and it's going to apply a padding to the top or to the right side of the screen here. And we said last child, which selects this, and then we added a padding to the left side of this. That's why there's like this gap between education and skills. Because we were able to say, hey, I want to select this part, do something with it, select this part, do something with it, without adding any extra HTML. But let's use cats, because cats are good at describing things. So we have our mother cat. It's an unordered list, because the kittens were just kind of, they popped out at the same time, nobody knows.
Oh my god.
All right. We have 4 kittens. All right. And then we have a closing UL tag, because we need that. So where do you guys think in this structure, this is like better HTML. This is like HTML6, right? So where do you guys think the first child would appear? If I said, I want to select the first child of mama cat, who's going to get picked? Will it be this guy, this guy, this guy, or this guy? Somebody. This one? All right. You are right. See, because CSS can be intuitive sometimes, although oftentimes it isn't. And last child, at the bottom. Cool. Let's play with that.
Oh, and actually, just one thing I want to make a note.
Yep.
So if you notice at the very top screen, we have like only one column, but like in the red box, we actually have 2 different columns. So I think the 2-column notation has been like deprecated.
Yep.
Yeah. So make sure you only use one column.
Yes, yeah, I forgot to remove that. Thank you. All right, so that's what first and last child does. We can go ahead and mess with that. So let's go to our resume page. And let's do our trusty inspect element, right? And we're going to use our new ninja skills, and we're going to click on this div. So this is a column, right? And if what we can do is we can add a new ID to this. We could say ID left side, right? And then we could add styles to the left element to make it work for the left side, and then we can do a right side and style things for the right side. But what if you have 2,000 columns? Does that mean you have to do column left 1 and then column left middle and column middle left? It's bad. And actually that was how it was done before, all right? Which was really horrible. They actually had scripts that would generate 1 trillion ID tags for all of your HTML elements so they could style everything individually. It was horrible. That's why you don't use Dreamweaver, by the way. Because WYSIWYG visual editing kind of sucks for most of the time. All right. So let's play with this. Actually, let's go to Fiddle again, because Fiddle is nice, and we can show smaller examples of things. So in our HTML, let's create a div. This is another div, content, and then we're putting this inside another div called main. Let's just stick this inside of it. You guys all see that? All right, tidy it up. Cool, so we have content and content. We're going to add some CSS to select each component. Actually, to make things really interesting, we're going to add another few. I'm going to call this first and last. Okay, so we select main, right? Add a background color because we can do that. And now we want to select things. So we can do main, and we can do first child. Because remember, we're a pseudo class, right? So we use this colon here. It's it's main, but there's more. All right. Add a font weight bold to that. And you'll be like, wait a second. Why is everything bold? And we're in a fit of desperation, we do this too. And we run that. And it's red. So it's not doing anything, right? Let's play around with this some more. Oh, hey, something changed, right? What if we do color red? Up there, nothing changes. So the reason why this doesn't work is because CSS is not intuitive all the time. Okay? So things like hover work, right? Let's go and throw that in for free. So things like hover work, but things like first child don't. And what's even worse is it works differently in every single browser up till last year. So before what you would have to do is you would have to be hey, if this is IE or something like that, then I'm going to do something different. If this is Opera, if anyone uses that, I'm going to do something else. If this is Firefox, I'm going to do something else. So this is really bad, right? But we live in 2015. I almost said 14, but I corrected myself. So we can fix this, right? So we have our main class. Let me remove this. We have our main class. Oop. All right, and what we really want is we want to select this child right here, right? So what do we actually want to do? We actually want to do main, and then the name of the thing that we want to select. All right, and then we want to do first child. And there's a caveat, but we'll see. All right, so now victory. We have selected the first child, and to make sure that I didn't lie to you guys, you can also do last child. And let's make this white. Yay! So now we just created a sandwich. We have red on the top, we have the white on the bottom, and we have the black in the middle. So that's cool. What else can we do with this, right? We could actually make the first element, we could style it so it floats to the left. We can make the right side float to the right. and we can make the main one hidden so that we can actually keep all the content flat. So as you can see, we have first way up here because it's floated to the left, and we have last all the way on the bottom because it's floated to the right, right? And all the content, the rest of the content is just kind of stacked in the middle. And we can make this pretty, but the point is we can select the first and we can select the last item of any list or any HTML that we want. And this is cool because in the case of things like this, right, where we have a left section and we have a right section. So we can now select the left section and right section completely in CSS and style them differently. Does that make sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions before we move on? All right. Yes?
Are you going to talk about the CSS specificity rules or whatever?
We can. Do you want to talk about that?
Those confuse me a lot.
Okay. Oh, sorry. All right. So the basic way that CSS works is we start from the top of the document, just like in Java or whatever language, and it starts compiling this, so to speak, interpreting this going down. So if at the very end, if we add something specific like main div last child, well, actually that is as specific as you can get. So if you add another style that's exactly the same, and then you say color is green, then when you run this, it's not going to change. And the reason for that is because you have these two that are exactly the same, right? Sorry, I mean, it is going to change. That's what I'm talking about. If we put this green one here, is what I meant to say, then it would not change. It would stay white. Because this white overrides this green. However, if you had something more specific than this, for example, if you had another div inside of it like that, then the outer div would be white, would be green, but the inner div would be white. So I don't have that set up here, but see, you can see this is still green because we don't have a div. There we go. So you can see the inner, let me tidy this up. So you can see inside this div, I have like another div inside. So hello is white and last is green because the div inside the div is more specific than the outer div. Maybe this will be a little clearer. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah.
You got questions?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Hey, did you try flipping that?
Flipping it? Sure. Right. So it won't matter because when something is more specific than something else, it's like how do I describe it?
I would say you just use a single div setup there.
Let's put a break so you can see. So the way it works is basically we're saying we have a main, right? So we're looking at main, and then we're looking inside of our div, right? Because this is last child, so it finds this div. And then it sees that we have a div. So when we say div twice, it looks inside the div for another div. So it's like nested, right? So it sees this hello here, and it's going to change it to white. But of course, we just added a BR, so it screws it up, right? But normally, like if we remove that and put it back to the way it was, kind of like that, just so you can kind of, the formatting is a little bit better. This hello, right, this is inside another div. And so that's why hello will be white, because we targeted this explicitly. This one on the bottom here, this regular div, is just main div. So it says, I'm going to make everything here green. But then you have another rule that says everything is green except for the one where you have another div inside, which is going to be white. So the way it works is you specify your styles globally, like way out here, right? Main has a background color of light gray. Nothing is overriding that property. So nothing, the override for gray still remains. If we went here and we said background color white, then it's going to override the background color of main. Because that is more specific, right? Selecting main and then selecting a div inside of main is more specific than just selecting main itself, right? And we can talk about this more if you guys want more in-depth coverage. It's hard to, I wasn't prepared to show a demo for that, so it's hard to show without like a contrived thing built already. All right. Cool. So that's first child and last child. And there are a lot more. So you can go and play with those if you want. There are a lot more. They're great. Full screen is fun because whenever they go into full screen mode, it says click here to allow them to be in full screen mode or whatever, and you can be like, bam, like everything changes. Your entire layout is now optimized. It's great. All right. Oh, so I guess I jumped the gun here. So we already kind of know what these selectors do, right? So now let's talk about the next part. This is like where things get really, really fun, okay? We're going to make everything move. All right. But before we do that, we're going to talk about history. So tweening. Has anyone heard of tweening before? In-betweening, tweening? Who has heard of a Flipbook animation? Who has made one? Okay, cool. Yeah. So Flipbooks are awesome, right? Because you can have no budget. You just have like a little notebook that you buy at Walmart, and you just draw these little figures on it, and you flip it, and all of a sudden you have an animation that you can show everybody. It's awesome, right? You'll be the next Walt Disney. So the problem with Flipbooks is they take forever, right? This Flipbook has like what, 30 or 40 sheets at least, and it's like a 1-second animation. It probably took this person hours. Well, it would have taken me days, right? But it probably took this person hours to draw all these shapes. And notice how this is 3D, right? It's moving, and it's kind of like rotating, right? That's very, very hard to do by hand. Like, I'm not very gifted when it comes to drawing stuff. So that is amazing, right? But now we live in an age of computers, right? We obviously can't put a Flipbook on the web. What we can do, if we wanted to be like smartasses, we could like create a GIF, like an animated GIF, and it could have a neon background that blinks, and then we could stick it on a web page. It'd be cool, right? No. Don't ever do that. If you do that, I never knew you, okay? So this is the modern method. It's called tweening. We start out, I know I can't really pause this animation, but when you look at the left, it starts out as a star, and it ends as a circle, right? The way we animate this is we open our HTML, we create an element for that, and then we change one every single time for every. No, we don't do that, right? Because that's what Flipbooks are for, right? No, we are lazy as programmers by nature. So we will spend tens of hours, we'll spend hundreds of hours, millions of dollars of developing time to create something so that we can like do this in 2 seconds, okay? So what we do is we define the shape, the star, in the bottom left corner, and then we say, hey, after 5 seconds or after 1 second has passed, I'm going to just put another shape here. I'm going to take the same shape, copy it, put it over here, remove all the star edges, right? Just make it a circle, and then change the color. And then your browser is going to be like, cool. I need to go and change every single property in between this area. So I turn the blue would slowly fade into the yellow, right? I only specify these 2 corners. The blue will slowly turn into yellow, and these points will slowly disappear. And that's called tweening. The historical connection is in-betweening. So you guys, like Beauty and the Beast, right? Lion King. The way these were made was we had an expert animator. This expert animator was paid $300,000 a year to do animations, right? The thing is, these people got lazy after a while because they had to draw every single frame, like a bajillion frames for Lion King, right? So what they did was they hired a lot of interns. These interns would be in charge of the non-creative portion of the animation, in that they did 90% of the work. What the main master animator did, the guy who's getting paid 300 grand, is he drew this frame. He drew this frame perfectly, beautifully, drew 2 frames, and he told his interns, you want to be a part of the future, you want to make something awesome, do every frame in between. That's in-betweening, guys. That's where it came from. It's terrible. That is so mean. But that's what happened. So on the big credits, when you see Lion King and you see the credits, you're like, that son of a bitch didn't do anything. Okay? Because guess who's doing all this in-betweening work? Does that make sense now? In-betweening work. All the interns, right? Okay. So that brings us to CSS transitions. So since we live in the 21st century, they felt like tweening was kind of an old school word. So they just changed it to something else for no reason. So it's called transitions. A transition is when you start with one state, you start with your ball, and then you have a ball that's black in color. And then you say the next state is going to be the same ball with red color. And then you tell the browser that over the course of X number of seconds, change the color in between, naturally, by itself. All right? So yeah, these are the 2 states that we're talking about. Beginning state and an end state, and it will smoothly figure out the animation in between all by itself, which is beautiful. So let's Let's show you this. This is cool. All right. Close out of this. No, I want to leave the page. And let's get started. So let's start with a square. Because remember, HTML, everything's a box, right? So squares are naturally easy to do. ID box. And let's remove all of the CSS. Make sure this is gone. All right. So now we're going to create a box. And the box is going to have a width of 30 pixels and a height of 30 pixels. And it's going to have a border that's 1 pixel, solid blue, and it's going to have a background color of blue as well. So now we have a blue box, right? Can you all see that? Blue box, cute little blue box. And I changed my mind. So we're going to add a border radius to make it a circle. Because CSS3, we can do that. All right. So if it wasn't clear what I did, I created a box, and then I added a border radius, which makes the edges round. And we're making the edges 50% as round as the width of the box, which makes it perfectly circular. All right. So now we have a circle, and we can't do anything with this circle. It's lame. All right. I'm going to squish this HTML away because we don't care about it anymore. So let's make this circle rock. Remember this thing that I talked about conveniently earlier called pseudoclasses? So we can go ahead and say circle, hover. So what does that mean again? Somebody? Yes, exactly. I saw the motion. That means when we hover over it, it's going to do stuff. So let's make the background color red. And of course, when I run this, it turns red, right? Cool. But I promised you guys transitions and animation, and this is just cool, but that was like what we talked about like 3 minutes ago, so that's not cool anymore. So let's add animation. So the CSS property was called a transition, right? So what do you guys think I should call this to invoke an animation? Transition. Okay. So let's see. I have special parameters that I need to provide the browser so it knows how to render our cool animation. They are as follows. We need to specify how much time the animation needs to take. So let's say we wanted to fade from blue to red over the course of 2 seconds, all right? So we would say, big surprise, 2 seconds, all right? Next, we need to specify how quickly and how, or not how quickly, but as a function of time, how does that animation propagate? If you know physics, you can know like a cubic Bezier transform, right? We don't care about that, okay? So we can say ease in. That will do the curve for us. All right, so this tells us how quickly it's going to start slow and then end fast, or start fast and end slow. That's kind of what this is about, right? This is the transition. So 2 seconds, we're going to ease in, and then we specify the property, because remember, we're in CSS, everything is a property, right? The color, the width, the height, right? So we want to specify what do we want to animate. In this case, I'm going to say color, right? Because the background color is what's going to change. Let's run this again. And hey, look at that. Do you guys see that? Do you see the change? It's blue, and now it's red. It's awesome, right? Let me make that a little bit taller so you can see. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I was covering the code that generates the circle. My bad.
You can put it back up again.
All right. All right. So cool. So now let's say 2 seconds is slow. If someone hovers over this ball, like they have no idea. They're so ADHD, they probably like put their mouse away before you even finish, right? They're like, oh, okay, that didn't do anything. And as a developer, that's just the pain, right? It's like, I spend so much time, like just please, like stay on the circle a little bit longer. But they're not gonna do that, right? They're assholes. So let's change this to 0.5 seconds, so half a second, right? That's a little bit better. Refresh that. They have no excuse now. If they don't see that, then, you know, whatever, screw them. So that's cool, right? We can also do linear. So we have a few options. Let's do linear. Did I? Wait.
Oh, no.
What? I was really concerned there. All right, so cool. So now it's very gradual. Like, it fades in at the same rate that it fades out. It's linear, right? Very cool. But we can do better than this. We can do better than this. Let's try to change the width. So the reason why it changed to red is because when we said hover, my background color changes. So the browser says, oh, something changed. So now I need to animate that property. And since we said background color is going to change, it's listening for that to change. And now that's why when I hover over it, it turns red. So what happens if we decide to be fancy and we make the width 100 pixels, we want to make the circle bigger, and the height 100 pixels as well. When we run this, what do you think will happen when I hover my mouse over this ball? All right, that's correct. The size won't grow, but the color will, right? And the reason for this is simple. We said linear background color only, right? We would have to change this to include the width and the height change. So we can do comma separate. We could do like background color, width, height. That's a pain, right? Instead, since we're programmers and they spent like $4 bajillion making this feature, we can do this. Bam. Because we're developers and we can do that. Isn't that cool? I think that's cool. And we can do ease out. So this is a cool ball. Like it leaves with style. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but it like slows a little bit. Awesome. Now let's talk about clicking. So we hovered over something. Let's active. Remember, our active pseudoclass means, hey, we're gonna when we like select it with our mouse, right? When I like hold my mouse button down, it's gonna do something else. So let's say background color white, just because. Now when I click on it, the background color turns white. Isn't that cool? Like it really wants to become red again. So like once I let go, it instantly turns red. But isn't that cool? So now we have a circle that we can hover over and we can click. Have you guys seen a lot of those like menus on websites? Like you go to the menu, like, what's a good example of that? I'm not going to Facebook. I'm logged in right now. Does Twitter have it? No, Twitter's lit. They don't have anything. What? I don't know. Some menu. Oh, okay. See this? This is an HTML page, like when you open Chrome, right? This is an HTML page. They're animating the box shadow here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's like simulate this because we can build. It's like Google probably spent like hundreds of, thousands of dollars building this feature. We can build it in like 5 minutes. So let's do that. All right. So we can do a div and we can do like a box. And let's delete everything that we made. And so that's like background color light gray, right? And border radius, it looks like they had 3 pixels. Of course, we won't see anything yet. Let me scroll this out. What did I miss here? Oh, right, thank you. Width, 60 pixels, height, 60 pixels. See, I'm just getting too excited about this. All right, so now we have the box, right? It's kind of similar, right? Theirs is a little lighter, but whatever. They have budget, so. We're going to hover over the box. We're going to do box shadow. We can specify the x direction of the shadow, like the x direction of the shadow. We're going to make it 0. And the y direction of the shadow, 0. We're going to make this 3 pixel black. Let's see, x, y. All right, cool. So I said 0 in the x direction. If I made the y direction like negative 10 pixels, for example, then when I hover over it, it's going to be negative 10 up there. See that? We don't want that, but now it can be done. All right. So now we have a nice little shadow, right? 3 pixels, maybe like light or gray, right? Bless you. All right. So cool, right? But remember, we have transitions now, so we can make anything that's cool and automatically make it cooler. So let's add a transition here, and let's make it 0.3 seconds linear. And we're going to just animate everything because I'm too lazy to specify, right? Ooh. That's pretty cool, right? So to rival Google's box feature, we can now do this. We just copy and paste the box like a bajillion times. It's going down. So do you guys remember float? Who here remembers float? Gold stars. Okay. So to add a float basically breaks this out of our styling so we can make them cascade left and right. So now all the boxes are flowing in stacks. And then we're going to add a margin. We could do margin right, 5 pixels, margin bottom, 5 pixels. We could do it this way, right? but we can make that better. We can say margin, top, 0, right, bottom, left. Same thing. All right? Shorthand is great. So now we have like a grid system, right? And we can hover over these things. And imagine we had more budget and we could like click on them and do stuff, right? In fact, if we click on something, remember, how do we do that? We do box active, right? We can change this box shadow, right? We can change it to like, oh, I don't know, like, 0, -1 pixel in the y direction, like 1 pixel gray, or 1 pixel light gray. And now when we run this and click on it, oh, it goes down. It's pushable. It's a friendly button. Okay? It's like it even pushes up. Like it looks like it's dancing a little bit. Like, it's cool. Oh, this is too fun. Let's do -5. It's not going to be cool anymore, but Ooh. Ooh. It's like some weird toggle thing. I don't even know what that is, but like we should patent it. Okay, that's cool, right? So do you guys understand what transitions are and what pseudoclasses are? Yeah? Who wants to see a more advanced of the example? Yeah. That's what I like to hear. So, all right. Yeah. Can I post it somewhere? I can't actually because the web doesn't exist. I can't really post it anywhere. I would have to like print out copies. No, I'll post it. Thank you very much for pointing that out. I'll save this. I will save this, and I will create a thing and I'll share it. Thank you so much for pulling that out. Cool. All right, so this is cool, right? But what if we want like something more awesome? So like when we say active, something else happens on the page. Because I click on this, it's not very interactive, right? Usually you have to use JavaScript or something to make stuff happen. But we're cool. So we're going to do it all in CSS. So check this out. When I press active, it already like, does something. So what if we just enhance that by making it affect other elements on the page as well? Because we can do that. Let's go to our box. Let me go ahead and delete all these other boxes, all right? Because we know we can do this now. So let's go ahead and delete. Oh, doesn't want to select the right box. Oh, okay. Fine. It's being difficult today. There we go. Oh, wow. All right, so we have one box, very special box. Let's add something inside the box, all right? And let's start with a very simple thing. Let's start with, it's a box, and this is going to be like the inner. This is going to be gift. So we don't want the gift to be visible, so this gift. All right, so right now it says gift. How do we hide that? Remember we talked about like nesting our selectors? By nesting our selectors, I mean we can say box, and then we can specify something inside the box, like the gift. So this is going to select the box and select the gift if it exists. And we're going to say display, none. It's gone. Like it doesn't exist anymore, right? That's pretty cool. So they can't get their gift because they need to work hard for it. They need to click it first. All right. When we hit active, right now we're just saying box shadow, blah, blah, blah. What if we enhance this? So when it's on active state, we're going to say once it's active, I'm going to select something inside of it. I'm going to select a gift. So when I hover and click on it, it's going to like apply a special style to this. And we're going to say display. Oops. Oops. Can't spell. So now when I click it, it says, cool, I'm active. Now, do I have a gift in the box? Yes. Let me just change to the display mode to inherit. Inherit means it inherits the parent's visibility. And since the parent, which is the box, is visible, right? All of a sudden, the gift is now visible because it just inherits that from its parent. Cool, right? We can make this cooler. We can change the opacity to 0, and then we can change the opacity to 1 here. And now when we run it, oops, oh, I forgot to add a transition to that. So I need to say transition for my gift as well. 0.43 seconds, linear all. Run that, and the gift now fades into view. So they really worked hard for their gift, and it just like pops up in bold right there, right? It's awesome. So this is pretty cool. So what did we learn today? We learned that we can create a box, and when you click on the box, it gives someone a gift. No, but really, we learned that if we have if we have some object on the screen, we can use pseudo classes in a very clever way to expose other content on the screen or change the content that's already on the screen, right? Yeah. So who here is a big fan of like CSS menus? Like you hover over something and like a menu pops down and all that cool stuff. Yeah? One, two, three, four. Okay, a few people like it. Okay, cool. All right. So let's add one. Okay. So remember in our Chrome browser, you hover over the top and there's just like this arrow. This little like close button, right? Let's, we can do that, right? So let's do that. We hover over it. Let's get rid of our gift. We know what gifts do. Close out of the gift. Get rid of that. Oops. Yeah. See when I delete things, it just wants to delete everything. Let's make sure it didn't delete something bad. See. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Let me. Yes. Thank you. I'll do that.
Actually, after finish the presentation, we're going to upload all the video to YouTube, so you can go back in time and see why.
Oh, that's right. I forgot we were recording this. Thanks for reminding me. Now I'm going to be now I'll remember to be camera shy. No, yes, that's a good point. We'll be recording this. So. All right, so this is cool, right? Let's make our little button. So the first thing that we want to do, let's look at the Chrome thing again, is we hover over it and then the button appears, right? So how do we do this inside CSS? When we hover over it, we want the button to appear. So actually let me delete this. We're going to create a close button. And inside the close button, I could use an icon, I could use an image, I could use whatever I want. But I'm lazy, so I'm going to put an X in there, right? So if we refresh this right now, this is lame. It's in the wrong spot for one thing, right? It's in the top left corner. It's not in the top right corner. So how do we change that? Well, we go to our box, and we go to our close, right? Remember, we can drill down into our HTML and select something cool, right? We select our close button, and we're going to change the position to absolute. What absolute means is we're going to like make this box close button move around on the page dynamically wherever we want. It's going to be using X, Y coordinates instead of the natural flow of the document. What I mean by that is I can say right 0, so that means it's going to be 0 from the right. So see how it's all the way to the right side of the screen here, right? If I say 20 pixels from the right, it's going to be, see, it's moving, right? It's moving closer and closer to us. But that's not what we want. We want it to be to the right of the box, right? We don't want to calculate this every single time we change something. Oh, it's to the right of the window. So what we want to do instead is change the viewing mode of our box. We want to make this position relative. So what position relative does is it says everything that this box does is going to be relative to itself. So when I say position absolute and I say the top is 0, it's going to be 0 with respect to our box and not 0 with respect to our document. Okay? So now if I refresh this, you won't see the arrow anymore because it's 80 pixels to the right of this box, and this box sure as heck isn't 80 pixels. So let's do 8 pixels, and you'll see that it's now 8 pixels from the right of the box. All right, that's closer to what we want, right? Top. Let's do 5 pixels actually. I think 5 is a better number. So the reason this looks weird right now is because the X is, it's a text thing, so it's kind of weird. Let's see. Let's play around with some things. What's a good sim? I'm just like mashing buttons on the keyboard. I don't know what I'm doing. So make it a little delta thing. Okay, let's make it a delta thing. Whatever. So we have delta, but it's visible, right? So we want to make that invisible first. So we want to say display none, right? Display none. We'll hide it, completely remove it. It's not even visible anymore. Gone. Now when we hover over the box. Right, when we hover, let's get rid of the gift. Okay, bye. Oop. Doesn't want to go gracefully. So once to make our close button appear again, we go box. Right, when it's hover, I'm going to select the close button. Right, so I hover over the box. I now select the close button inside the box and change the display to inherit. And now it pops up when I hover over it. That's pretty cool, right? It's kind of like this, right? And we just did that in pure CSS3. Isn't that cool, guys? Isn't that cool? All right, thank you. One person is enthusiastic. Cool, all right. So using this exact same approach, we can make the following. We can make a spaceship go to Mars. We actually can, I'll show you. So we can also make drop-down menus. We can make buttons that when you click on them, they like expand and they do other things. Because we now have the ability to basically change any of the content on the screen using these selectors, right? So I said something about like launching a rocket to Mars. We're not really going to do that. We're going to make the box like tumble across the screen, okay? So let's remove everything in our box. We're now a generic box again. All right, and let's remove all of these things. All right, back to our original box. When we click on it, we can make this thing move in different ways. And I'm going to show you how you can combine, because so far, we've been using just one thing to animate. We animated the color, and then we changed the display, right, to 0 to none or show, right? So how about let's throw in like 4 or 5 different things, see what it does, right? Because that's where the cool things happen. So when we click on the box, .box active, we want the box to do 3 things. We want to set the margin left to 50 pixels. We want to change the background color to red. And we want to transform this by 30 degrees. Okay, well, I just kind of threw some new stuff out here, right? So margin left is how much space you have from the left edge of this box to the edge of the window here. So we're going to make this box move 50 pixels to the right. We're going to change the background color to red. And we're going to apply a transformation. The transformation is going to rotate the box 30 degrees. All right? Run this. See that? Let's rotate it 180 degrees. And let's move it by like 200 pixels. Bam!
Nice.
Isn't that awesome or what?
Yes.
Okay, you know what? This box is tired of being a box, so it wants to be a circle now. We add a border radius.
Oh.
Circle. Isn't that cool or what? So with a little bit more work, we can make a transformer in CSS3. Who'd want to work on that project with me? I would.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
How can you change the anchor of rotation?
I'm sorry, what?
The point at which the box is rotating?
Oh, yeah. So by default, it's always going to be at the center, right? You can, and honestly, I don't have experience with this, but I believe you can change the pivot point by changing your transformation matrix, kind of like what you do in graphics, right? If you change the translation matrix to a different point, like you change the transformation matrix here, and then you rotate, it's not going to rotate about a different point. And it's called like CSS. It's like matrix. Yeah, matrix. This is this. So if you specify your matrix, you can then like change like what point it's starting at, and then rotate. Use the same rotation, right, about the center, but the center is not different. So yeah, but I honestly don't have experience with that, so I can't tell you that for sure. But I'm pretty sure that's how it works. That's how it works in regular math. So all right, so cool, circle, right? Yay. We don't have time to really go any further than this, but I want to show you an example of how we can apply these effects to our resume portfolio. Okay? So let's take a look at that. Public, I think. Yeah, jackpot. No? Oh, I changed directory. Whoops. What did I do anyway? Oh, whatever. I'll do it this way. So let's yeah, there we go. Awesome. All right, so here we go. Right? You know how we did this now, right? Hover, we just changed like the margin bottom, right? Add a transition. Cool, cool stuff. Cool stuff. And check this out. When we hover over this, Jerry spent a good amount of time on this, so he did a lot of good work on that. So it changes the saturation. So we're actually telling it to be grayscale, and then we bring the color back in, and then we scale it up so it zooms in. That's pretty cool, right, guys?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Nice. It's pretty cool. Watch it. Watch for it. Yeah. Awesome. Also, look at the links. They fade in and out, right? It's pretty cool, right? And of course, everything still works. One last thing. If your employer is extremely eagle-eyed, he looks at your skills and he's looking at it like he's not impressed at all, okay? He's like, okay, yeah, anybody can do this with some basic CSS, okay, whatever. You're not telling me how good you are with JavaScript or PHP or any of these things. I want to know exactly to the percentage how good you are with this. By the way, that's a horrible thing to do because you can't really gauge your own, competency in something, right? It's like saying, yeah, I'm an expert in everything. Okay. But if he is fortunate enough, and he's the chosen one, he'll hover over these things, and he'll see the ratings.
Oh.
Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Pretty cool. And this is all done in pure CSS3, no JavaScript at all. All right, it's pretty cool, right? We hover over this element. Remember, we have another element inside of it. That element would then become visible when they hover. And then we just say, hey, I'm going to change the width from 0 to whatever %. And since that is a property in CSS, we can animate that. And so when you hover over this, it now grows from left to right, like a progress bar. It's pretty cool, right? If any of you guys are interested in how this works exactly, you can come talk to us after the lecture, and we'll be more than happy to show you. Yes?
Like, how do you hover over the JavaScript and look at the menu?
Look at the what?
Yeah, move the cursor and look at the menu.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for noticing that bug.
That's a bug.
Yeah, that's a bug. The reason for that is my selector was too generic. So when you hover over this, it's showing something, it's hiding something else, and that was the victim. Also, the screen resolution is very small. And actually, Jerry's going to pick up from this. Yeah. So unless you guys have any more questions about CSS, I'd like to turn this over to Jerry. And he's going to talk about some responsivity.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Titus.
Oh, wait, actually, let me just get familiar with the screen. Oh, sweet. Oh, wait, actually, how do I get the thing back? Alright, sweet. Let's see. Was that the current website or the old one? Okay, sweet. So right now I'm gonna talk a little bit about responsiveness. So right now, Titus has done a lot of job on CSS stuff. So right now, the website looks pretty, has a whole bunch of animations, which is awesome. But if you go to the site and try to look at that, that's the wrong site. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So if you're trying to open this site in a mobile device, because right now it's the mobile edge, Right now it's a mobile edge. Everybody's using their mobile devices. So right now it's actually a mobile simulator. Yeah. Oh, I had the resolution. Yeah. So, yeah. So if you're fresh page, this is how your website is gonna be like on iPhone, which is not that good, right? So yeah. So apparently, and also. And the other devices, they're like an iPad, they're like other kind of devices. And apparently, you want to make your website responsive to all of those things, so that it will automatically adapt to different devices. So you will see actually those are the same website, but they will appear differently on different devices. So this is and mobile query is actually the way how we're going to do this. So yeah, so this is pretty much what mobile query is. Kind of crazy stuff. But right now, let's do something kind of easy and not that scary, which is going to show you how the mobile query is going to work. So let's actually open our site. Yeah, so this is a beautiful site. So this is CSS. So what I'm going to do here is actually, I'm going to write something called media. So this is what media query is. And the format is simple. For media query, actually, at first you want to describe on what kind of device you want the CSS to be working. So right here, I'm going to put screen, which means electronic devices. So if you want to add some like a special CSS to mobile devices or like on like electronic devices, screens probably the thing that you want to use. And also you can use something called print, which means if you want to add some like a CSS, like specifically for like a print copy, right? You can add that. So, and right here I'm just gonna use a screen because we are on a screen. And another thing that you may want to use is actually called max width. I'm gonna set that to 480. So what that does is actually it tell you when the browser come to this piece of CSS and check out this, the browser will know. Okay, so if right now you're viewing this web page on an electronic device, and the width is actually smaller than 480 pixels, then I'm gonna use this CSS include in these curly brackets. So let's see. So right now I think the biggest problem is actually the width of the whole page. And actually if you use this beautiful thing, you will see the wrapper is actually being too wide. So what if we make the smaller into something like 80%? Let's see. Oh, it's probably the resolution. Inspect element. Let's see. To be something 20 pixel. What you should be changing? Let's see. Why is this thing just hate me? Oh. Wait, this is not cool.
I think it's updating the width, but not updating the margin.
It's updating the width. Oh yeah, possibly actually that might be the reason.
Because his margins are wrong, probably.
Yeah. Let me try this. Oh, beautiful. I think this one. Alright, sweet. And now let's make this thing even smaller. Say 50%. Wait, why the thing is so... Oh, it's probably because of the top. Let's check this out. The header being too wet. Why the thing is being so wide? Let's just remove this thing. Let's see if anything's gonna change. Nope.
Maybe you can try removing all the styles in the wrapper first and see what affects it.
We can so apparently this thing that's not working as expected. Display box. Actually, what is the body?
Oh, hey.
Well, what?
If you go to your device in Chrome,
Yeah.
there's a fit button,
This one?
and then there's the button next to it, like the
This one?
scale. So if you click on that, like
Oh,
that's
is
what
that
you-
changing scaling?
Yeah, because right now the iPhone 6 has a huge screen, right? The resolution is really huge.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Thanks for pointing this out. All right, sweet. So right now things actually looks a lot better. So right now, if we come back to this thing, almost I just hit this resolution. Okay, sweet. So right now, this is how that is on a mobile device. It's not that bad, but you see, like you may want to change something a little bit. So let's check out like what are the problems right now. So for one, I would say this thing is kind of being too narrow, right? And apparently, like your phone screen space is actually very valuable. So you kind of want to like make use of every single pixel that you have on your phone. So let's make this wider. Makes 90% of the width. So you will see right now it is wider actually. And let's simply add that to the media query. So that's called wrapper. So right now, if you put wrapper there, then add a width called 90%. So that's gonna happen. Oh boy. Is this working or not?
You should not flip it to 480. Maybe it should be
Oh,
720.
pixel.
It should be 720, not 480.
No, actually, this thing is actually smaller than 480. Oh boy, why this guy hit me today?
Because on Google Chrome it says 720 when you inspect.
720?
Yeah.
Let's try this. Nope. Because I think this
Try changing to an iPhone 4 real quick, because the iPhone 6 has like a really high resolution screen.
possibly.
So it tries to compensate for that sometimes.
Oh my gosh. Why do you want to keep making me an email to George? Is nope. Is gonna be actually let's try max device width. Oh boy. Sweet. Oh sweet, something happened I think. Oh yeah, for whatever reason. I think right now, oh, it's probably because they're trying to detect device width instead of okay, so sweet, right now it's working. So right now you will see that's what the page is right now. It's become wider. Let's go back to iPhone 6. I love iPhone 6. Okay, sweet. So right now you'll see that this page is it's actually getting wider. Can I possibly make it bigger? Nope. Yes. Okay. So it's kind of wider. I don't know if you guys can see that clearly, but we just kind of to get a general idea of the layout. And right now the problem is actually right now you see like for the rest of the sections, everything we can see them clearly right on a phone screen. But the problem is actually those two columns they become like too tiny, and we kind of want to change that. So instead of making them like one single column, what you want to do is actually you want to make their width become 100%. So that actually they will take the whole width of the whole screen, right? So you will see that. So that's what you want to do. You want to change the column under that into something 100%. And also, if you look closely, you will see right here we have some little padding things on the side. So you will see like on the right hand side, on the left hand side, they're not really like a line. So that's the thing that you kind of want to fix. So padding left and padding right, you want to set both of them 0. Padding right, set them to 0. Save this. Why are you still there? Oh, the last child, of course. Yes. Last child. Is that how that is called? And the first child is called. Sweet. So right now it's aligned. And what is the good thing about Media Query is actually it's not like a standalone thing. So which means whatever you have written before, everything is still working. But what you're trying to do is just add things on top of the CSS, so that actually you don't really have to like rebuild everything. And there are the stuff that we can kind of check out. So, and I think another problem is actually right now if you check out the nav bar, everything here looks like super tiny and it's kind of impossible for you to see anything, right? So what you want to do is actually you want to make things bigger. Also, everything, see under nav. So what do you do actually under nav? And it's a list, it's an order list, and in every single list you have a link. So for that, you want to make the font size a bit larger, say 2em. Oh boy, I saved you.
You forgot a semicolon in CSS. Wrapper width. Oh, on the wrapper.
183.
Wait, what are you talking about? 180?
183 needs a semicolon at the end of it.
Oh yeah. I don't think that should be affecting as much. That's what it's doing, right? Oh, never mind. Because nav, I think nav itself is the UL. So right now, if you come here, oh sweet, right? It's getting bigger, right? And you actually, if you want, you can make them even bigger, so that you will see things clearly. So right now, at least you can see things clearly, without like changing things too much. But I just don't think that might be the best solution. So actually, let's make that smaller. 1.6. Yeah, so right now you actually have something still working there. Let's see. Yeah, so sweet. And also, if you check out those tiny links, you can make them bigger. But in general, that's how that kind of thing works. And the good thing about it, actually, if you open the same page on the actual web browser, you will see like everything else is still like intact, nothing's being changed. So yeah, and that's pretty much a media query. And another media query you can actually do is you can make a print media query. So which means this CSS will only apply if you are printing things. So right now, if you are trying to print the page, what's going to happen is that looks alright, but something is kind of broken, And also, like if you want to print this thing and use this as your actual resume, right? Then probably you don't really want this nav bar to be showing. So what you can do is actually a very easy thing. So you go to the print query, select the main nav, which is, I do believe, is the selector for the whole thing. Then for that, you just simply do display none. So when that happened, you refresh page and you print. You will see the beautiful nav bar is gone, but I don't know why there's still, oh, probably a header. So let's just make the whole header disappear. Boom, so the header is gone now. And you may want to move everything up a little bit. So that's what you can do is actually you can do the wrapper. Move the up, say, I think it has padding top, into something smaller, say 30 pixel. Or you can do like 1 inch. There are so many like different units you can use. Oh, that's even worse actually. Was it margin or? Let's see if that's the margin or not. Let's see. That one has, yes, you are very correct. That's margin, right? So let's make margin top something smaller. Say 1 inch. Again, I think this is a proper number. So when you're printing this page, there's no change. Alright, so right now it looks more like a legit resume. So, and apparently there are like a whole bunch of that kind of thing. You can change it, say the background color or the font size, everything. Let's check this out. Say, if for whatever evil reason you want to make the background black, it's probably going to be horrible, but that's how your resume is going to look like. And pretty much you can customize the same page with media query, so that your web page will not only look pretty on regular devices, but also that will look pretty on mobile devices, and also you can make it printable. So yeah, that's how pretty much how you make your website responsive. Yeah. So.
Cool. Thanks, Jerry.
Is that an extension?
Okay, that's part of the built-in developer tool of Chrome.
Really?
Yeah, so that you can actually test how things look like in a mobile device in your computer browser.
Yeah, you can do everything. You can even do like throttling. So like if we want to do like satellite or something, we can do that. And you'll actually see it like slowly, like the page will slowly load in. It's pretty cool. So yeah. So I don't think we really have time to go into some of this extra fancy stuff that we did. By extra fancy, I mean like how it fades in like this, like when you scroll, it like pops in. We used a little bit of JavaScript, and basically all the JavaScript does is it just injects a CSS class that has the animation in it. But if you're interested in that and you want to talk to us about it, we'll be more than happy to show you what we did there. So I did want to mention something at the beginning, I forgot. But if you have some web-related topic that you want to talk about and are interested in sharing with the rest of us, come see me afterwards and we can get you signed up for it. So it's like a 5-minute talk on like, oh, this new like editor you found, or like this new web technology, anything that interests you at all, just let us know. So we'd love to hear from you. Other than that, I think we're pretty good. Thank you guys so much for coming.